Okay, so we should be live. Hi, Billy. Oh, that's good news, Billy, that your husband's home from the hospital.
Yeah.
So hope he's doing well. And I hope you can hear us okay. Just let us know if you can hear us okay. I had a little technical difficulty. Hi, Wanda.
Wanda.
Can everybody hear us okay? Hi, Donna.
Hi, Donna. Hi, Wanda. Yeah, okay.
Well, welcome, Wanda. It's nice that you're able to join us live. And hopefully, so can everybody hear us? It's okay. Yep. Should Hi, be. Donna. Okay. That looks like it's working. Okay. All good, Donna says. Okay, great. So we'll just give it another couple of seconds here and see who else is joining us today. Great. Thanks, Billy. We've changed our lighting a little bit. We're hoping that's a little bit better as well, because I've been fooling around here. This is the new sewing room. Talk about that in a bit, but got a little video to show you. I hope it works. And okay, so I guess we might as well get started. So let's talk about my mother. Check in with my mother. I had a FaceTime with her this past week. Hi, Angel. And she looked actually pretty good. She was up in her chair. She wasn't in bed. They didn't have her hooked up to oxygen. Her color looked good, and she was relatively coherent. So I thought that was all good. Now we're going over this week coming on Tuesday. We're going over to see her as well. But my sister, it was her turn to physically go over to see her. And I didn't ask my sister whether or not she had to have a COVID test like we did the last time we went over. If they're still doing that. I think they're still doing it.
Yeah.
They do a rapid COVID test when you come in there, even though we've been double vaxxed, and they know that because they took photocopies of our official documentation that says we have, but nevertheless, and they don't have an outbreak, but they're just being cautious, and that's a good thing. But anyways, my sister went over to see her, and she said she was in bed, she was on oxygen, and there was some old guy or something came into the room and said hi, and my sister said my mother kind of lit up when he came in. So my sister said to her, "Well, Mom, are you going down to the dining area for your meals?" And my mother turned around and says, "Well, they don't invite me." But so we don't know whether she is or not. But my sister tried to say to her, "Well, you might want to, when you're down there, maybe sit with him or something, when you have lunch, strike up a conversation." Well, my sister said my mother gave her this evil look, which I know exactly what that look is, and I cannot show you what it looks like because I can't duplicate it. But it's when she's displeased, there is a look. So anyways, we'll see what she's like on Tuesday. I told my sister we just have to take it as it comes, one day at a time. Nothing we can do about it.
Sort of like a little kid when you give them broccoli and they don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I always call it guppy lips because she does this thing with her lips where she purses them all up together like, and these evil look in her eyes. So, and if anybody can give an evil look, it is my mother. She used to do that with us kids, and we knew as soon as we got that evil look, whatever we were doing, we better stop doing it because we were in trouble. But anyway, so hi, who have we missed? Marilyn?
Go ahead and make me, it's Johan.
Johan, yep, hello. Jeannie, hi. Wendy, hi. So I think we've covered everybody there pretty much. If we didn't say hello to you, we say hello to you all now. So yeah, so that's the story about my mother. So we can move on. What have you been working on? A lot of things we've been working on.
Well, my jean jacket's still sitting there unfinished. Let me see, but we've been cleaning out the workshop for the thing, and then parts of me are hurting that I haven't hurt before.
Yeah, we're kind of sore. cleaning up, decluttering, rearranging furniture, and all that kind of stuff is definitely a younger person's job. And we probably should have hired a younger person or two to do it.
Yeah. Well, and then people like me do stupid things and
and fall. Yeah. And why don't you explain to people how that happened?
well, I did something stupid. I was putting we have a recycling program, and I was putting the garbage out on Monday night, and one of the boxes was kind of full, so I was trying to compact the stuff that was in the box. I lost my balance in the garage, and I ended up on my side on the concrete floor, and I kind of wrecked this arm.
And what, you were jumping up and down on the stuff in the box?
Well, I sort of had both feet in, and then
duh.
well, some things old people aren't supposed to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
You could have broken
I think
it.
I sprained I didn't go to the hospital or anything, but I sprained my wrist. It's better. It still hurts a little bit, but it's better.
Does it hurt when you do this?
Actually, it hurts more when I do that.
Well, don't do that. Really. Of course, I was in bed. And, you know, he was out in the garage. This is like, what?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock at night. I'm in bed. I'm asleep. I can't hear anything that's going on in the garage. You know, it's at the front of the house. The bedroom's at the back of the house. So, I mean, he could have knocked himself out. Or worse yet, my car's in the garage. You could have hit my car
No,
and
your
did it.
car wasn't in the garage.
What'd you do?
It was parked out the front. Had lots of room to fall. If your car was in the garage, I would have fallen against it. But anyway.
Oh, thank God you moved it. I don't know, a dent in my car. But I mean, and did you have your phone with you?
Yes, I did. And my watch was on. Surprisingly, my watch didn't get nicked or anything like that. And, but I think I fell with my hand out. So that's why. So my hand was the brake fall. But there is a setting on this watch that it'll call an emergency number if you fall.
But you didn't
But
have
I don't have it turned on because I didn't think I'd need it.
Hi, Patsy. Oh, glad you could make it for a few minutes anyways, Patsy.
Well, so then that was it. And then later on this week, I don't know, on So Chatty, I was sitting on the stool that you have. And right after that, for some reason, my back started hurting really bad.
Yeah, and I said, well, you've sat on that stool before. No, he was.
No, I've never sat on your stool.
No, so it was my fault because it was my stool. He was sitting on my stool. It affects his back. I sit on that stool all the time. It's my sewing stool. And didn't really have any problems, except today we've come to a conclusion. I was doing some sewing for the first time in about 2 weeks this morning. I was sitting on my stool, and my back does hurt a little bit because, you know, you're sitting on a stool. You don't really have any support for your back, right? And if you're sitting for long lengths of time, you know, it's easy enough to do when you get sewing. You know, you should get up and stretch every so often, and I don't tend to do that. I get buried in whatever I'm doing and just do it. And so my back was a little sore too. But anyways, I said to him, well, maybe I'll look for something. See, I don't have a lot of room in where I've put the sewing machine now. Well, I didn't have a lot of room before either. I can't really get like an office chair like this in that spot. And this office chair has a lumbar support in it and everything like that. So I went on Amazon about an hour ago, and I went looking, and I found something that'll fit in the area. It is a type of stool, but it has a supportive backing on it. And so I've ordered it. It's supposed to come on Tuesday, and I think it'll fit in that space okay, and maybe it'll give my back more support. So
yeah, because anyway, I don't normally have any back pain. I had back pain a long time ago when I was younger for a little bit, and then I don't usually get back pain, but all of a sudden I have back pain.
Well, anyway, so
Well,
yeah,
it's getting better. It's not as bad as it was a couple of days ago, but
Patsy says, ashamed we are not 25 anymore. Yeah, that's for sure.
yeah, I'm beginning to wonder if we should have bought this long arm. it's we're getting a little too old for that.
Yeah, Wanda says, I was going to ask you about the best chairs. Yeah, I don't really know what the best chairs are. Actually, I liked the little stool that I had. It was a stool that they touted as ones that people use like in tattoo parlors, and hairdressers will use it and everything. It cost about $70 on Amazon when I bought it, and I've liked it. It's worked fine. But we'll see what this other one that I'm getting. I mean, you can spend a lot of money on a chair. And actually, I'd invest in a really decent chair. I just don't have the space in where my sewing machine is right now. I've never had the space for a big chair. Like I said, like this one is my office chair that I'm sitting in, and it has a back support in it, and it's a good chair. Although it is starting to get a little warm.
I'm not sure if it was the fall, Wanda, because I fell Monday night. And my back didn't really start hurting until Thursday afternoon. So.
Well, okay, but think about what we were doing between when you fell and
true.
that.
It could have been when we were moving all the stuff out of the house, and the stool just aggravated it.
Well, there were some very heavy pieces we took off to the dump. Like we had a table saw, an old 60-year plus.
I think it was at least a 70-year-old table saw, and it was super heavy.
And Walter took it all apart because there was no way we could get it out in one piece. We couldn't.
Even when I separated it into two pieces, it was still really heavy. So I
mean, the motor on that sucker was
75 pounds.
Holy crap!
And there was a what do you call it? I can't remember. There's a component on it that wasn't part of the saw that actually, I forget what that's called, shaves the wood or whatever, and wood shaver or whatever, and that must have weighed 75 or 80 pounds.
Yeah.
Alone. So this thing must have weighed several hundred pounds.
Well, plus we took the treadmill. You know, I was saying about last week that I have this treadmill that I've had it for 10 years. It still works okay. And I wanted to just give it to somebody, but they need to be somebody who could bring people with them to take it up our stairs and out of the house because it weighs quite a bit. Well, then we got looking at it again, and I'd sort of forgot because I stopped using it the first of this year. And aesthetically, it's in bad shape. I mean, I've had it for 10 years.
The front cover was broken.
Yeah, the front cover, it's just an aesthetic thing. It doesn't affect the way you use it, but it was just a plastic piece, you know, on the front that covered up kind of the motor or whatever, and it was chipped up and
nobody'd want to buy it.
No,
nobody would want to even take it for free.
Yeah, well, whatever. So we decided to take it apart. When I say we, Walter, and he took it down to its most basic components. Holy crap.
So it was a lot easier to throw out. So
yeah, so we got rid of that, and that's good.
We took it to landfill, and the stuff that couldn't be recycled got thrown in the garbage, and there was a fair bit of metal in it, and it gets recycled. So
yeah,
at least the metal components would be recycled. So
yeah. So anyways, that's gone out of there. But that's probably
same with the saw. The saw was mostly metal, so we threw that into. I had taken it all apart, and we threw it into the recycling for metal. So.
Hi, Marlene. Hi, Janice. So I'm just looking up back here. Patsy says she bought a chair from her Baby Lock dealer. Can't remember if it was by Baby Lock or whoever. Yeah, well, Janome has a chair too. Quite frankly, they're ugly. The ones that Janome have, and they're about $400.
Yeah, they're expensive.
And I'm not sure what the size is. And I
think it would fit in there, but
it might.
And it's supposed to be comfortable. That's what they said.
I don't know.
I think they're like $300 or something.
No, they're $400. I looked them up. Okay. Yeah, they're not cheap. That's before tax.
Well, that's a lot to pay for.
Well, that's what I think too. Well, Janome's overpriced. Any of
the accessories. They even have a table that you can put your sewing machine in, and it's a crappy table.
And it's $600.
And it's $600.
Yeah, I know, and it's a real crappy table. Now, Wendy. Yes, how about switching the two machines? The one right here, yes, I could. But the problem is, well, no. Okay, there's two problems with that. One, on the other end where I have the sewing machine, I was able to hang the tabletops out far enough that I have a place for my knees underneath. On this end, I can't do that if I was to switch the machine because it cuts off this area we're sitting in right now. And I can't really move my computer anywhere else in this room because of what we're looking at. When we look straight ahead at this, we're looking at a huge screen kind of a thing. I mean, there might be a way we could probably mount that screen on the wall over where my other desk is, and I could run the stuff and things like that.
Yeah, it's major rewiring.
But it's major rewiring, like major, because I just rewired this room for cameras and everything, which you're going to see in a second. But it's, like, okay, it would make more sense to have it at this end. But the other problem is I have a huge monitor over on this side of the room, up there, which is hooked to another computer, but it's also when I do Zooms, I can see everybody that way. So I need to sit at the other end of the room to be able to see that. Otherwise, my back would be too...
Yeah, so there's a lot of problems with it.
There's a lot of problems. So I'm hoping the problem will be solved by the chair that I get anyways. I mean, you would think that would be a logical idea to do it here. And that's originally where I was going to put the sewing machine until I realized that it was going to be a problem with the setup for the computers. So, yeah. Wanda says $399.99 Aero chair. I'm assuming, Wanda, that is American.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming, Wanda, you're in the States, and that's an American price. You know how much that is in Canadian dollars, Wanda? That's a mortgage. Okay.
That's probably about
600.
Over $500.
Yeah.
Plus our tax.
Plus our taxes on it and the whole bit. Yeah. Yeah. American prices look so good until you start figuring out the exchange.
Because our taxes are... it says yes, Genome Canada.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's 400 then, like what I said it was. Yeah.
She's in Exeter.
Oh, you're in Exeter. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Have you ever?
Makes sense.
Have you ever sat on one of those chairs, Wanda? Do you have one? Like, are they worth the money? Because I've never seen one. Never sat on one. I've only seen pictures of them, online.
She has one in the store. She did anyway.
Well, maybe that's where it's up, but I've never sat on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, we'll see
Donna claims they're comfortable, but I don't know.
Well,
that may be a sell job too.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, well, it's not just too much work, Wendy. It's just the logistics of it, the way this room is set up. It's just not going to work. Oh, well, as you get going on things, when you start to move things into new configurations and all that, you have to do some fine tuning. Like I'm finding right now that I need to do some reorganization of some of my equipment and drawers. They're not as convenient as I thought when I originally put them there. So I just have to move them around. That'll come with time. She says, no, she doesn't have one. Wanda says she just wanted to know before you spend that much. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot of money to spend if you don't like it.
And I don't go anywhere anyway where
we stay at the farm. It's spelt wrong.
Oh, is that okay? I thought it was a short form for something else, like fancy standing room only. I don't know. Patsy says my chair rises to counter height and is adjustable. Okay. You'll have to excuse me, guys, because I was an English teacher. So I look at syntax of sentences and things, and I know it's just, we're having a conversation. But every piece of punctuation anybody uses and the way words are used, I'm kind of anal.
Yeah, that's nice to know, Patsy, but what kind of a chair do you have?
Yeah, like Patsy, are you asking a question or are you giving me a statement? Because you end it with a question mark. My chair rises to counter heights is the statement and is adjustable. Do you know if it's adjustable or not adjustable, or did you mean to really just put a period there?
She's gotta go anyway, so.
Oh, okay. Chased your way. All right, we'll catch you. Excite your LA. Okay, we'll see you later, Patsy. Bye-bye. Hi, Fidel. Yeah, I know, typos. And it's easy enough to make them. I know I make them all the time. Anyways. Oh, okay, Wanda. Well, I know the feeling.
Well, I type reasonably fast, but what seems to be happening to me a lot is my autocorrect changes the words into words that I don't want.
I know. You got to proofread the autocorrect. all the time. So anyways, that's what we've been doing this week. So Walter hasn't been sewing. Today was the first day that I've actually sat down and did some sewing. I managed to finish my Christmas table runners or table toppers. I got the binding on the last 4, and so that's done. And I got some embroidery things for Christmas done. As I'm working my way up to the big event coming up at the end of this week. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But yeah, so I finished getting the sewing studio, and that's what I call it now. It's not my sewing room. It's a sewing studio, all set up. And I thought maybe I'd show you a little video on here, if this all works okay, as to what it now looks like. So just give me a second here. I'm going to do some fancy little thingies. See if this works out okay. And switch this over.
Can you check it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I'm...
Oh, here it is.
Well, maybe not. I don't think I'm getting sound. Floor too. There's always something, you know, when you do this, you miss a few things. I've put 3D prints up on the top shelf because really there's not much room up there, and of course all my fabric. I don't think I'm getting sound. Not getting sound. Floor too. There's always something, you know, when you do this, you miss a few things. Why am I not getting sound? How do I put prints up on the top shelf because really they're in between. And right here I've put this together. Maybe not the best design, but I wanted the cord away from it. Was hanging out over this edge over here, and I wanted it tucked underneath. And so this is what I did with it. Also gives me a couple more outlets in case I need to run something else from this end of the room. You can see these are all the Alex units. It's difficult to get them all in the shot.
Yeah,
there they are.
They're sound.
And I have some of them labeled because they were labeled already when I moved them from the other room. And I'm just going to take you down here to the pressing mat area. So you see I have this all set up, and I have my sprays and things like that. And just for decoration, I have a few pin cushions and button jars up here. All the lights that I have in this room are all controlled by one central switch. It's a system that is wireless. Well, wireless in the sense of turning them on and turning them off. Of course, they have to be plugged in. My iron is right here, and on this particular wall that used to hold a lot of artsy things before, it now holds patterns that I want to get to priority. I'll switch this out. This is sort of the translation of my vision board that I had in the other room. And I've used my command hooks to create additional storage space. And the rulers I reach for most frequently are hung here on the side of the fabric case.
Now they should be
and
hearing
on
us.
the wall as well.
For some reason,
So as I said, I
set
have
up on that,
all my
but it's on the other, but
sprays
it's
and
still
things
going
are
through.
here. And also my smaller rulers and special rulers are here in a box. And I have another drawer a little bit further over underneath the second sewing machine in that unit there that has some other rulers that I don't really use on a regular basis. Of course, I do have storage underneath this table as well. This is where I'm keeping my embroidery stabilizers and some other miscellaneous things like my Sizzix machines and that kind of thing. So we'll come over and take a look at this. This still has my magazines and things in mixed media. I didn't get rid of all of those. I did get rid of some with the magazines, but I kept the books because, you know, I kept the books. And my basket of patterns and some other scraps. Those boxes of scraps, that's a system I thought might work, and I don't think it really does. For now, I'm just leaving them there. I may get rid of them eventually.
Sounds really bad, it says.
Embroidery patterns and things like that in it, my magazines and other books for quilting patterns. And these little parts that are down in here are my current projects. So I can just wheel these out and away I go. The one thing I don't have in this room is an area to store UFOs, so they're on this cart as well. I would have preferred them hanging up, but I think I might make it look really junky in here if I do that. I left all my 3D prints on these shelves up here because, well, I didn't know where else to put them, and they're good as a decoration, and I put the rest of my pin cushions and things along this ledge that runs all the way around the room. There's a couple of my art pieces. They're just there for decoration more than anything, and a couple of other rulers. These are Fisker rulers for cutting fabric that I've never used, and I spend a lot of money on them. So they're hanging here because if they're out here where I can see them, maybe I'll use them. There's extra cutting mats and little project boards and things tucked in here. And this also holds my ribbon. And this is my secondary, my travel machine, my Skyline S7 right here. And again, here is what I had up here that previously had pieces of art and cards and things on it. I just put a couple of my art pieces that I actually kept. And, you know, I found my master's degree and my undergrad degree, so I thought, well, I might as well hang them up, right, for what they're worth. I have another storage unit right here, and as you can see, I do have some empty spaces in this one, especially the white one, so that's for future expansion. And in this little pail, I have some rolls of paper. I don't know if that's going to stay there or not, but right now it's kind of out of the way, so that's fine. And here, of course, is the other end of the cutting table with my sewing machine all set up. And I do have my stool here, and I debated whether I should buy a proper chair. No, there's not enough room in this corner. But what I have on the floor is one of those plastic chair, I don't know what you call them, glides or whatever, you know, that protect the carpet or allow you to spin around. Well, easy here. If I need to switch between the two machines, I can just roll this one right over here, and it works with that machine. So yes, I put some thought into that. There's more drawers under here. These have the most frequent things that I use while I'm sewing. You'll notice that I do have this hanging out a little bit in space under here because I want to be able to get my feet underneath. I have some batting stored here, but I have batting in other drawers as well. I have a huge roll of batting in one.
So it was pulling it up from. Well, you get the idea. I'm going to switch it over.
Yeah, the Yeti was still going.
I thought I had it turned off.
Yeah, you didn't scroll down far enough.
Okay, so the sound didn't really work very well on that. I am still trying to figure out this OBS software. So sorry about that, but you gotta feel at least for what I've done to the room, and I will be putting out a full video thing from that. So, anyways, I hope everybody can hear us now again. Yeah, I know, Marilyn. It's not that great. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
well,
just
I think you had your microphone still on and then you were also playing thing, and then when you were playing that thing on top of it, it was picking that up on the microphone.
It's not that great. Okay, well, we're back to normal. I put this all together before we went live today. It was working fine from this end, and then I don't know. I'm still playing with this technology. I've never had so many problems as using this OBS software. I'm telling you, but there isn't a heck of a lot else out there unless you have a Mac with it, which seemed to be work much better. But anyways, you got the feel for it that I've done all this changing and everything. There isn't any of my craft stuff really left. I saved a little bit back, sits on like 2 shelves kind of a deal, and it's gone. So I'm no longer a paper crafter, I guess. I have none of the equipment to work with. Yeah, thanks, Wanda. Anyways, I'll work these things out with time. I mean, those of you that have been with us for a long time, you remember how we started out, right? Using an iPhone on our kitchen counter. So we've come a ways from that. Of course, it's no real help from Walter because all he does is just criticize it and say, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? But, you know, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. So, but I do want to tell you about my camera setups now in this room, because this room has a lot of cameras. I have a camera that will face down. If you're coming to the retreat, into the cocktail party, we'll be in this room for the cocktail party on the Friday night. But we won't be looking at where we are now. We're going to be sort of turned at 45-degree angle. And I have a camera sitting on top of the big television set that's hooked into another computer monitor that'll be hooked into Zoom. And that will give us a little wider area. Now, you're probably saying, well, why don't you use that instead of what you're doing now for this? Well, the reason is I can't reach that other computer to do it, for one thing. Plus, that other computer has problems running OBS for some reason. It's a relatively new computer, but it can't handle the technology for some reason with it. So I have to do it from this computer, and yeah, as I said, just bear with me. Now I have another camera, and I can show you really quickly. Back to the webcam. So that's a look at another camera. If I want to do demos and record them, I can do it from there. Then I have 3 cameras that point at each one of my 3 3D printers. Now, those aren't for broadcasting. Those are sort of internal to my phone. So if I'm in another spot in the house, I can just check every now and then without coming downstairs here how my 3D printers are working. And speaking of the 3D printers, they're all working. I got them all working. I'm very proud of myself with that. You know, the one I had to buy a new power supply. Well, guess what? I don't think it was the power supply. It was something pretty simple. I think the part in the machine that you plug it in, like where the plug goes in, it was loose and it was shorting. I tightened up the nuts on it and it seemed to work okay. So that's the secret to life, really. If things aren't working well, tighten up your nuts and that'll make it work. But anyways, and then I've got this other one that I told you last week was given to me by a friend of mine, who he had a lot of trouble getting it to level. And leveling, you've heard me say this before, leveling a 3D printer bed is not an easy thing. It takes some practice. I'm pretty good at it now, but when we first got the first 3D printer, I was pulling my hair out. Ask Walter. He was actually trying to
Yeah,
level it.
and leveling is not something that you do once. You have to
Mm.
keep doing it all the time. And it's not like, you're leveling your refrigerator so it's level. It's the bed itself goes at a level all the time, so you have to do it all the time.
Yeah, well, I have found though a secret to that too. I was taking my bed off after every time I did a print and cleaning it up because I put glue on it as well, a water soluble glue. It makes your pieces stick a little better when they're on there. Well, I have found that if I'm careful removing a finished piece, I don't have to re-level the bed, and I can probably get a couple of more things printed before I have to go and I have too big a buildup of glue and I have to go and
Yeah,
wash
but
it
it
off.
wasn't the guy that gave you the printer said he didn't like leveling or couldn't
Yeah.
level the bed. Didn't you find that the printer was all loose and
Oh yeah.
it was poorly put together?
Nothing was tightened on it properly. So I went through it all. I tightened it up. I updated the springs that are on the bed. This means nothing to people who don't have a 3D printer, but there are these springs that allow the bed to go up and down, and you have knobs on it for twisting it. And the springs that come with these printers from Creality are cheap. Everybody tells you the first thing you need to do is upgrade the springs. And so I did. All my machines have upgraded springs. And the springs don't cost much. They're really, really inexpensive.
You'd think that for the cost, they'd put decent springs on it.
Yeah, well, it comes from China. They put them together the cheapest way they possibly can. So anyways, I have all three up and running, which now means I have a 3D printer mill. But the thing was, I have an uninterrupted power supply on two of the printers. And I tried to plug in the new one into one of those power supplies. Well, it's too much wattage going through, and it was resetting the power supply. So I got another one from Amazon. So I have three of those in there. I'm waiting for a set of lights to come for the new old 3D printer, the one that I got from this friend of mine. I've ordered those. They're coming on Tuesday. And I have lights all over this room. And they're all controlled by, many of them, by my phone. So for example, there are a couple of lights that clamp onto the bookshelves. Or the fabric shelves now over there. I need a little bit more light on my cutting table. So just watch behind Walter here. You'll see. I'm going to push a button on my phone. And I just turned off the lights over there. Push it again. Turn them back on. All the lights for the 3D printers are operated in the same way. And not only that, but if I need to shut off a printer in an emergency, I can do that from my phone as well. I have these little blocks. I just got a set of 4 more of them today because I love these things. They're Wi-Fi controlled. So you hook them up and you can run them off the app on your phone, which is kind of cool. So yeah, everything's wired in here. Now we have 2 lights that are now facing on us here. They are camera lights, and they don't run off any of the remote controls. Although I could run them from the remote controls. I just thought about that. I've got that thing. I could hook that up, so I could do that too. But really, I just have to push a button and they come on, they go off. They give us a little bit more lighting here in this. And especially now that I make all my videos in this setup, I need the extra light. So yeah, this room is heavily wired in here. There's a lot of buttons to push. Even the lights that sit over at the far end, you saw where my printing station was in the other sewing machine, not printing, pressing station. Those are run by a different system, which is basically, you can buy them at Home Depot, and they're what do you call that? An RF frequency or radio frequency. So that's how I run those lights, because they're plugged into outlets that are not switched outlets, but they're now switched outlets. So yeah, there's a lot of electrical stuff in here going on in this room. What are people saying here? Yes, Kathy, the room is very tidy, but
yeah, Jeannie, I need to tidy my room up, but
That's
there
never
yet.
going to happen. Although he's done a wonderful job of his workshop area to a point. And we do have to keep that area clean because when we get the Lucy, that's the name of the
Juicy.
long armor, the Juicy Lucy, that we can't have a mess in that room in there. So, yeah. So speaking of the Juicy Lucy, she arrives supposedly tomorrow. I checked the tracking on her today, and she was in Buffalo waiting to come across the border and out to us. Now they say we're supposed to get it tomorrow, but I also thought they were supposed to contact us 24 hours before it's to arrive. So I don't know. It may not come tomorrow. It may come Tuesday.
It depends on if there's a delay that they have to come across the border. So
yeah.
So I don't know because.
But we've already done the border clearance. We've paid the customs and all that stuff and the duties through that. So that's all looked after. So, and then we have the job of putting the sucker together. Now, what we've been hearing and what we have been seeing on YouTube and that is that it's not difficult. It takes 2 people to put it together, and it takes about 3 hours to put it together, but it doesn't look like it's that difficult. So we shall see. We shall see.
Comes with supposedly good instructions.
Yes. Oh, I'm so impressed with APQS.
So far.
Yeah. With their service and everything. I mean, it has been spot on through the whole thing. They've taken you through it, explained every step of it, been in constant contact with me via email and by phone as well. So far, it's without that little hiccup I had with my Visa card. It's been running well, like clockwork. So that impresses me a lot. So we'll see when we get it. So I've had a few people say, are you going to have it up and ready to go for the retreat? If it comes when it's supposed to come, yeah, it probably will be. Will I know how to use it? I don't know.
Fidel said
it took 2 hours. Fidel, I think you told me, but I can't remember because when we did the interview. What kind do you have? Do you have a APQS or do you have a handy quilter or
for some reason I thought it was handy quilter, but I'm not sure.
Because I don't remember. But anyways, that's what's going to take up our time next week. So yeah, something else. This next week is busy. I have an interview scheduled tomorrow morning with Nora Barrows, I think is her name. She has a YouTube channel called, what's it called now? Quilting something. Anyways, I reached out to her a couple of weeks ago or so to see if I could do an interview with her, because the one thing I really liked about her was she shows her mistakes. And she make no bones about it. She shows you what her trials and her errors. And I think that's really good because, I know something? I have not found a lot of people who do quilting videos who really show you their disasters or, what went wrong in their plans. They hide those things. And for sure they've made mistakes. Everybody does. And you learn from the mistakes, I think. And I think it's good to share them with people because I think people get intimidated when they think that everything that other people are on YouTube are doing are perfect, because they're not. So she's going to, I think, be a really great interview. Now, I'm putting up an interview on Tuesday, which I did. It was the first time I've ever interviewed 2 people at the same time, but they're good friends. And these 2 ladies were really, really interesting. They are both engineers. They're actually engineering professors. They've worked in engineering their whole lives, pretty much. They have PhDs in mechanical engineering. They teach at universities, different universities, because they don't live in the same town. And they're quilters. And if you want to know something, if you ever want to see why it is that mathematics is a good thing to have when you're a quilter, these 2 ladies certainly prove that fact because, yeah, you need the mathematical background sometimes, especially if you're designing patterns or anything on your own. So it's a really great interview, and I'm putting that up on Tuesday, so be sure to catch that. What's being said here? Oh, he has Fidel has a handy quilter, the Amara.
Yeah.
And just don't use Aurifil thread with your arm. Breaks very easy. I use polyester and looks really nice. Well, I think the thread we're probably going to go to is Glide, because that is what
that's what's recommended with APQS.
And that's what Tracy at Whirls and Swirls, who's our representative for APQS and everything, the long arms person, that's what she uses all the time too. And it's polyester.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so Johan says, I often show my mistakes for comic relief. Yes, Johan, that's one thing that attracted me to your channel as well, because you show your mistakes. And
actually that's good, because like it shows people that you can make mistakes, and you learn from your mistakes. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I call my channel for that the Idiot Quilter, because I've done some really stupid things. I'm an idiot. So that's why I call it that. So I'd like to point those things out to people that I've done.
Mr. Leon says Glide is polyester, and
yeah,
it's very good thread.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Billy says she loves Glide thread on embroidery and quilting. Yeah. Well, Floriani is polyester, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So you can use Floriani too, but I think
now we can probably start with Glide and test out other stuff
and stuff with that. But yeah, I know that Glide has got a very good reputation for everything too. Now, does Aurifil make a polyester?
I don't think they really make one for that. There's the other one that I think that woman in what's her name? The one that has the big shop in Oregon or whatever that we watch all the time, that shows her quilting. Oh,
you mean Jordan Fabrics?
Jordan Fabrics.
Yeah.
I think she uses Superior thread.
Yeah, she does. She uses Superior.
And I think Tracy sells some Superior as well.
Yeah. Well, we'll start out with Glide and see how that all works out. There's going to be a learning curve, no two ways about it. So, but anyways, I'm kind of apprehensive about this thing arriving, because it comes in 7 boxes, and it's funny, we were watching Just Get It Done Quilts with Karen Brown, and she got a Millie, which is an APQS.
They're pretty much their top of the line model. So.
Machine. And she basically showed unloading it from the truck, from the freight truck. She took each of the pieces in herself.
However, if you notice on one of her in her video, there's one where she has a dolly. And she puts the one box on the dolly.
Oh, so that may be, because they said one box is 120 pounds.
Yeah.
But we're trying to figure out what's in that box at 120 pounds.
Well, I'm wondering if it's the bed that, the table part where
maybe,
you have, where you put your pantographs on and stuff.
No, maybe. So, well, Fidel, when you got your machine, did you put it together yourself? Oh, yeah, he said that. Took him about 2 hours to set up his. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, he did. Okay. Helps if I read. So anyways, it'll be a new adventure. Okay. So let's talk about adventures. Let's talk about what else is coming up this week. So I'm doing this interview tomorrow. Plus I've got my regular videos to do. Plus we've got a long arm to put together with this. Plus we have to go visit my mother. Plus, I am being interviewed for the Quilter's Way on Thursday via Zoom. That's the online group that I belong to as well, because I think it's their 3rd anniversary, and they're going to have a big bash in October at some point in time, and they want to take some what they call the founding members, which are those of us that were the first ones to sign on to the Quilter's Way. So she sent me the questions today, and we've set up the time, and I've got the Zoom link. So I've got that this week. And there's some, oh yes, and of course, I have the retreat. and I have things to do. I've got to get ready for the retreat, although I've got most of that stuff done. So anyways, you've heard me talk about the retreat. You've probably seen the announcements about the retreat. Friday night, just to go over things again, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, we have the cocktail party, the Icebreaker Cocktail Party at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a Zoom link. The links are in the show notes below this video today when it goes up for rebroadcasting. It's also in all my other weekly videos as well. And I know some of you are coming, like Wanda and Jeannie, and there's others here as well. And you can still come. There's no pre-registration, so you just need to click on the links and away you go with it. And right now I have about 40 people that have said that they are coming, but it's not a pre-registration. I just asked if people could let me know so I could do some statistical analysis of all of that. I have got some things planned for that day, but back to the cocktail party. The cocktail party starts at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a Zoom. The link's in the show notes. Bring your favorite drink, bring your favorite snack, and bring a favorite project or something to show if you like. We're going to have a little show and share. I've got a little fun game that we're going to play too as well. And we're going to get to know everybody when they're on there. And I have some icebreaker questions that I may ask people. We'll see how things are going with that. This isn't to put people on the spot. It's just so people feel, comfortable. I want to set an atmosphere for this, which is, this is for fun. This is relaxing. This is come as you are, do what you want to do, whatever. And that's the mood for the day, for the retreat. And that's what I'm trying to establish in the cocktail party. So it should be kind of fun. And then on the Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know for some of you that's different time zones. It'll be earlier or later depending on where you are in the world. I can't do much about time zones, unfortunately. But it's okay. If you're not there right at 9 a.m. my time, like if you're out in BC, it'll be 6 a.m. Your time. That's okay. You can come and go as you please. As long as there's spots available. And right now I think there's going to be. I don't know. It's hard to say. I have no idea. I have 95 spots. So we are going to have I'm going to do a little slideshow. I've asked people to send me a picture of one of their creations, whether it's a quilt, whether it's a garment, whether it's a bag, paper crafting, whatever. I did put a deadline on that for tomorrow because I need time to prepare the slideshow. I've already started working on that because I've got quite a few things have come in, but there's still time if you haven't sent me anything to send me something, but please just limit it to one thing, okay? Because I don't want to create a slideshow that takes the whole day because that's not the point. What else am I doing? I have now it was going to be sort of a live presentation on how to do a fabric star. And for those of you that have already copied the PDF file, that's the frequently asked questions, it's the details about everything. I put that link is also, if you haven't got that yet, that link is in the show notes today. It just goes to my Google Drive and you can download it to your computer. I've just lost my train of thought. What was I leading up to here? Slideshow. Oh, there's I forgot what I was going to say. Wow. Okay. I'm a vegetable. Yeah, so there's that. So we're going to have the slideshow. Oh, I'm going to show how to make a fabric star, but I'm actually now not going to actually do that live. I'm going to show a video. I found a video. It's in the public domain on YouTube. There's a guy, I've actually reviewed his YouTube channel called Michael Quilts. He did a really good 20-minute little video showing you exactly how to make the star. It is such a good video because the quality of the video is excellent. better than what I can make with my setup. And he explains everything very clearly. Oops, slip of the tongue. Clearly is what I meant to say. And he made it for his guild. And it's excellent. So I thought, why reinvent the horse? No. Why reinvent the wheel? I'm having a stroke. I think I'm having a stroke. Okay, too many things going through my brain right now too fast. Jeez. Laugh at me. At least I didn't fall over and can't get up in the garage.
I got up.
Yeah, but you've been bitching about it ever since. Okay, so I've got that. I also have a special presentation. It'll be a live presentation by Lori Rimmon. I hope I'm saying her name right. I did an interview with her a few weeks ago. You may have seen it. She has made these templates for making bags and other things that nobody else makes. And she makes them herself. She has a laser cutter that cuts acrylic. And she's really fascinating to listen to. So she's going to do a presentation in the afternoon. I've limited her to 45 minutes. And I'm hoping she stays within those confines. It's not that I want to cut her off. It's just that, again, same thing as a slideshow. I don't want it to go all day because we're there to, work on our projects. There will be prizes. She has actually very generously offered 4 gift certificates for her website, for her products. And I'm offering 5 $20 Amazon gift certificates, and it'll be a random draw of the people that are there. And I haven't decided yet, but I think this is the only fair way to do it. You need to be present when I do the draw to win a prize. And I'm going to do the draws throughout the day. So that'll be the one stipulation. I mean, I think it's only fair I do it that way with everybody, but it will be a random draw. So there's some prizes. I have a little short video that's in the public domain as well. See, I didn't want to show you anything that was somebody else's work that I would be violating copyright. So I have made sure that these are all in the common domain and that I can show them. So I've got this really interesting video about the history of quilting. It only runs about 20 minutes. I found it very fascinating. Whoever put this together, they did a really good job. And a lot of us think that quilting started in about the 1800s or maybe the 1700s. No, apparently Neanderthal man was quilting, according to this video, and they have evidence of that.
Rocks?
Maybe. They might not have been very comfortable, but they lasted forever. No. So anyways, got a lot of that kind of stuff happening. So it's going to be a great day. It'll be a lot of fun, and it'll end at around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you haven't already indicated that you want to come, if you can just let me know that you do. But if, you're still up in the air about it, whatever, fine. Just show up whenever to either the cocktail party or the retreat or both. I hope you'd come to both. But, people are busy. Life happens. All that kind of stuff,
You're
right?
boring me. I just yawned.
What's that?
You're boring me. I just yawned.
You've been you've been boring me for about 38 years. So really, what's new? What do people say? Wanda had a run. Bye, Wanda. The beer's going to your head too fast. Yeah, well, I've only had one. So, whatever. Marilyn says, you two perfect comedy duo. You both always make me laugh in a very positive way. That's good. Does it make you pee too? I'm just asking. I know, according to the commercials on TV, ladies sometimes at a certain age giggle and pee. I don't know what that is, but there's stuff for it. We just fart.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, yeah, never mind, yeah. So, anyways, guess what else is happening next week? Here in Canada, we are having a federal election. Great timing.
Tomorrow, actually, isn't it?
It's tomorrow. Tomorrow's the big federal election. I think we talked a little bit about this last week. Little worried about the outcome because well, I don't want to see one particular party, and I'll say it, the Conservatives, because I hate their guts, get in power, because it's going to screw our country left and right, because they don't look after people. They look only after the big business interests. They're kind of the Republicans of Canada in a way. Not quite as bad, but same kind of, very too much to the right. I want to see the Liberals get back in, because if the NDP gets in, they haven't got a clue. They've never been in power. They're only good at criticizing. And of course, all they ever talk about is, we're going to tax the billionaires in Canada. Did you know we must have a lot of billionaires in Canada? I didn't know that. According to the NDP, every other person's a billionaire and they're not getting taxed. Well, right.
Well, anyway.
And then the other parties that are there don't count for anything. They're just useless. So I'm hoping for the Liberals. It'd be nice if the Liberals got a majority. I don't think that's going to happen. But I hope they don't end up getting... I hope they don't... The Conservatives don't get in, but get a minority government. Well, wait. I hope the Conservatives don't get in with a majority government, because that's disastrous. If they get in and they get a minority government and the Liberals are leading the opposition, then nothing's going to get done, because those two parties, one says it's black, the other says it's white. So nothing happens. So the thing I've got against Trudeau right now, our current prime minister, head of the Liberal Party, is I think this was a stupid move for him to call an election in the middle of the fourth wave of a pandemic. I don't know what goes through his head, but does anybody understand what goes through the head of a politician? No. So anyways, Fidel says, sadly, all politicians anywhere in the world, left or right, they're all the same. Just careful. Exactly. It's just a question of who's the lesser asshole that you vote for, quite frankly. So I don't know. So that'll be interesting to see what that turns up. We've already voted.
Well, we'll live with whatever ends up with. So.
Well, we have to. Nothing we can do about it. But we have voted already. We voted in the advanced polls. We voted last Saturday. So we have already been there. And here's something. This is so un-Canadian. It's disgusting. So Trudeau's out campaigning, as politicians do, and he's being pelted by gravel by anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers.
And they're led by one of the
other parties that are running.
Parties, yeah.
I mean, we don't do that in Canada. Or at least
they obviously did.
At least we didn't.
Yeah.
A lot of things are changing in this country.
I guess the person that was leading that is no longer working for that party.
Well,
so.
But I mean, it's
representing that party.
It is just an example of what has been happening since COVID. Yeah. The yahoos have raised their ugly heads. I mean, we can protest in this country, peaceful protesting. There's nothing wrong with that.
What's really sad is these anti-vaxxers are protesting in front of hospitals. Where the poor people that are working in those hospitals have to go up to like the COVID, or the people that work in the COVID areas or whatever. They the ICU or whatever have to go past these anti-vaxxers, and they're caring for a pile of people that have not been vaccinated and have COVID. Yeah. And it's very disheartening for them.
I think it's Jeannie's sister, Andy. She says that's why she likes dogs better than people, and I get it. Me too. I mean, I can't believe the yahoos we have in this country. I guess we've always had them. But for some reason, they seem now to come out of the woodwork. Like who's their leader? Who have they been inspired by? Well, I hate to say it, but it is the influence of the States. With the rednecks in the States, and with the whole thing with 4 years of what's his face, his name, who we will not speak of, that was in power, that no longer is. I mean, I think that's influenced it, but that's brought out the worst in people here. It's just un-Canadian. We don't do that.
Yeah, it's unusual that kind of thing was happening. I mean, all the other parties denounced it when it occurred.
Yeah.
But because that shouldn't be happening to anybody. So, well, and then something else that happened is in a city close near us. One of the garbage men came around and took one of the election signs and threw it in the garbage truck. And they have since caught him and fired him.
He was caught on someone's door cam. And so they were able to identify him, and he worked for the town, and they fired him, which I think is excellent. And now places are getting even more strict. I just got a communique from my mother's nursing home. They had a family council meeting in her new nursing home. They're trying to start up a family council thing, which most nursing homes have. And there was a summary of everything they discussed and whatnot, and they sent that out to me. And I noticed that they said that 92% of their staff are fully vaccinated. The rest that have not been have until November the 1st to be fully vaccinated, or they will be put on unpaid leave, which I think is great.
It's a little late.
It's a little late, but it's better than nothing, I guess. But yes, and there's other businesses. Restaurant owners are doing a lot of this too. Sports facilities are
There's
as well.
some hospitals in Toronto that are doing that as well.
Yeah. So I'm glad to see that the private sector and the healthcare system and that is nailing these people. Like, and that's what they need to be, nailed. Although there's a couple of loopholes in some.
I mean, they have to. There is the loophole where they can't be vaccinated due to a medical reason, but apparently there's very few medical reasons why you can't be vaccinated.
And they have to prove it.
And it has to be proved by an epidemiologist or whatever.
Yeah. So that's good. But then they were. Now, I don't know if they've still got this in some places, but it was in the healthcare where they said if you refuse to get vaccinated, you will have to go to an education course and you have to be tested twice a week.
Yeah, well, some places are doing that, and other places are saying, no, we're not even going to get into the testing thing. You either get vaccinated or you prove that you've got a medical condition that you can't get vaccinated. And if that neither of those are true, then actually, apparently, if you can't get vaccinated, they will put you in a position where you are not, you don't have direct patient care, you know, like in an office job or whatever.
Yeah.
And then those who aren't deemed medically exempt from it have until a certain date, and then they go on unpaid leave.
Good. But, you know, this is stuff that should have been put into place months ago.
Yeah.
Too. Instead of this beating around the bush. Because, again, it's all a question of our leadership. It's weak. It's very, very weak.
Yeah, there's also, like, with restaurants on the 22nd of September, I have to start asking restaurants and certain other venues where there's indoor stuff have to start asking for vaccine passport type things. And if some restaurant decides that they're not going to be asking for it, then the fine's only like $1,000 or something.
Yeah. They make that on 2 entrees.
And that's assuming that they get charged with it.
Yeah, somebody finds out.
I mean, that should be a lot higher. I'd say it has to be a $5,000 or $10,000 charge or so.
I would say more like $50,000.
Yeah.
Make them think twice. Close down their business, is what I say.
Yeah.
To it all, like, geez.
Yeah, you know, I would call it unvalidate their business license.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And out of it, but anyways, well, we'll see what that's going. Meanwhile, in the schools, they're having outbreaks. School's been in for 2 weeks or something like that now, going on to third week, and yeah, they've already had a lot of schools in Toronto especially, and they've had cases of it. Like, duh, we all knew that was coming. Like, big shocker on that one. You let the little varmints get in there. I mean, we drove by an elementary school on the other day, and they're out for recess or whatever. They're supposed to be hanging out with their cohorts and all this kind of stuff. And, well, they're not. They're kids. They're elementary school kids. And these are kids, you know, the 12 and under can't be vaxxed yet. So there they are, intermingling with everybody else and going home and taking that home or picking it up at home because they have parents that are anti-vaxxers and bringing it to the
Yeah,
school.
well, apparently there was a 10-year-old in a city close to us that passed away from COVID, and basically her parents were anti-vaxxers.
Yep.
So,
Well, didn't you say they were Jehovah's Witness?
or
Seventh-day Adventist?
Seventh-day Adventist.
Well,
no, that wasn't them.
Oh,
That was this other woman that was on Facebook that was arguing about why she shouldn't get a vaccine.
oh. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but you can take Seventh-day Adventists and you can take Jehovah's Witness, and you know what you can do with them.
And she also made think, well, why should I get vaccinated if everybody else does?
Yeah, the stupidity of it all. Hi, Glenna. Marilyn says you may need to move to Australia, and I will go to New Zealand.
Well, the uptake for vaccines in Australia is not good either.
No. No. Australians are funny people. Where's Johan? In here. I love Australia, as you know, and I love Australians too. But Australians are very opinionated, and they're very
Not politically correct.
no, they're not politically correct, which is kind of refreshing, I find, when you go to Australia, because, you know, we're so afraid that we'll say something that's going to offend somebody. And in Australia, they just call a spade a spade. So there you go. But yeah, but of course, I'd like to move to Australia just for the fact that it's Australia. Period. It's not going to happen. I'm still a Canadian. But anyway, so yeah, so we've got an interesting week coming up with the election, with everything else that's going on. And yeah, anything else that's been exciting in our life besides the fact that our bones hurt? Like we're not young men anymore? I have
this big
bruises.
machine, getting this big machine together or whatever, and then deciding what to do with it.
Yeah. Well, we had a little bit of an interesting thing. Our next door neighbor has been doing all through the summer, has been doing some outdoor improvements on their property. And he came to the door the other day and he says, and he was a little sheepish about it. He says, "Is your internet working?" And I said, "Well, yeah." He says, "Oh, okay, that's good because ours isn't." And I said, "Well, why?" And he says, "Well, the guy that's out here, they're putting in sort of a walkway from their driveway up to their front door. And I guess he kind of cut into the internet line that was buried there. And so their internet was down, but it didn't affect us. Now we're on optical fiber."
Yeah, I think they're using the older system that we had, and their line, I think it was strung through differently for them at one point in time, and so their line is separate from ours.
Yeah.
So,
but I think he was a little worried that we might jump all over his head. Well, we wouldn't have jumped all over his head, but we wouldn't have been happy campers about that because, we
rely on.
We are heavy users of internet.
They're a little older than us, and I think they're not. I think they use the internet, but they don't.
Well, they don't use it like we do.
They're not users of the internet like we are.
And plus, everything in our house goes through our Wi-Fi and through the internet and everything like that. Too,
Like he actually, I guess they got it fixed pretty fast. And then the next day he sent me a message and asked if ours was still working okay. And we said, yeah, everything's fine.
Problems.
I said to him, we know pretty fast because almost everything we have in the house is connected to it.
Yeah, that's right. Like, wow, if we go down in a big way. But I guess, one, he didn't have a locate done.
Yeah.
Although I have heard that that's something they don't do anymore.
Yeah.
Unless it's a major gas line thing or something like that, they don't bother. They just say, yeah, it's probably out there somewhere. Be careful. Yeah, that's
well,
really good.
they must have run a special line because I wouldn't have thought that the lines would be going up his side of the driveway. The lines that we have, I think, are going in between the two houses.
Yeah, that's when they came to that. But anyways, so, yeah, now they've gone away for a little while. So I guess they don't have to worry about it. Well, they got it fixed.
Yeah.
Actually, they got Bell pretty quick.
Yeah, they came
They
the
came
same
the
night.
next. Did they come the same night? Because he
Yeah, they
said
came the
before it was
same
coming the
night,
next
yeah.
day. Oh well, that's Bell has improved. I'll say that for them. They have improved in their surface because it wasn't like that for a long time. The way that they operate. But anyways, so I think that's about it. I can't think of anything else exciting to tell people. But come next Sunday, we'll have to talk all about the retreat and about the new long arm. We will be doing videos of putting it together, and probably there'll be some yelling and screaming. Mostly Walter at me. I just stand there and go, okay, what do you want to do now? I don't know. Did you look at the instructions? I don't need the instructions. I know everything. It's kind of like fixing the toilet.
No, you read the instruction. You don't read any instructions. You never do.
Yeah, right. I can choose that because I know I can read. Can you say the same for you? Anyways, before we have a domestic, we're going to say goodbye. So thanks everybody for joining us today,
thank
and
you.
we'll see you next week. And yeah, and I hope to see some of you on at the retreat. So say goodbye, Walter.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.